Welcome back. Well, the markets are sitting with gains of close to 90 points. We've come off a little bit from the top. The problem today is we're not able to build onto those gains, though we're having a green session. And in the last few minutes, a few stocks actually have slipped. SBI Life has moved to the low point of the day. I think we should get that stock up for you. And Tech Mahindra is another stock that comes out with a set of numbers. Well, that one as well has slipped from the day stop. So keep an eye out on both those two names. I think the problem is big boy Reliance Industries flirting with its 20 DMA. It's a larger weight, and when that slips, it puts some pressure on the index as well. Vaibhav Sanghavi, a CEO of Ask Hedge Solutions, joins us on the show. Hi, Vaibhav. How are you feeling about the markets? It seems to be a bit of a lack of a positive trigger to push the markets higher. How are you feeling about the Indian markets?
See, of course, Nigel, I think, as you rightly mentioned, that from a catalyst perspective to trigger the market up, either the quarterly numbers have to be pretty good, or from a overseas perspective, from a global perspective, we need to see that dollar kind of index kind of depreciates even from here onwards as well. But unfortunately, both of them, are not giving that kind of indication at this point in time. So maybe a time for some amount of consolidation on the market is probably on the cards.
Vaibhav, hi. When we last spoke to you, it was around the end of May, or at least that's a conversation I remember. You were slowly, incrementally getting a bit more constructive on IT. You said the earlier call was neutral, but now you're looking at IT. Earnings have been disappointing, right? Whether it's TCS on the top line, HCL Tech's margin contraction. Have you changed your view, or based on the numbers, how is your thesis changing on IT?
No, of course, Rima. I think last time around when we spoke, we did mention about saying that let the quarterly numbers come about. And depending upon the commentary, we will see whether to get even more constructive or not. Of course, at that point in time, the view was that from a valuation perspective, from a free cash flow yield perspective, it was appearing pretty good. However, when we see the quarterly numbers and when we see the revenue and the margin trends which have been there, to say the least, we are underwhelmed in that sense. Our bigger worry at this point in time is basically to understand that how are the clients or the customers actually looking at from a software services perspective when AI is actually increasing huge amount of efficiencies. So in that perspective, I do think that the overall revenue might be under pressure, or probably they will get, a big bang for the buck for the dollar spent. So interesting times, but we'll have to wait and see how it kind of pans out.
So IT, you're neutral? You did add only, or what's the positioning?
No, we continue to be neutral at this point in time.
Neutral. So you didn't add at all?
No, we didn't. And as we speak, we are still waiting for the whole season to get over from a earnings perspective so that we get a holistic view. But initially or preliminary kind of numbers do tell us that there is some under pressure on both revenue and the margins.
What about consumer discretionary? You like that, but now some on the street, they believe that the time has come for consumer staples. You don't think so?
Angel, if you remember all our interactions, I've been consistently maintaining that consumption is a sector which from the next 12 to 24 months is a sector which needs to be owned from a portfolio perspective. Now, we did say that initially the move will probably start from a discretionary segment, especially from segments of travel and tourism, eating out, quick commerce, retailers to some extent. And then we'll move to traditional staples as well. What we've heard from the quarterly updates, we do think that the numbers or the updates have been, I would say, encouraging at the margin. So we will eagerly look forward to this space. And our thought is basically that this is something which will probably make from a medium to long-term perspective.
In discretionary, where do you stand on hotels? You've got the giant there, Indian Hotels, then Schloss Hotel Leela are listed. Then I hear even Brigade Hotel Ventures is now looking to hit Dalal Street. What's the call on hotels?
See, from a hotel perspective, if you see from the last quarter, there were few days of disruption purely because of the operations in a particular area. right? So my view would be that from a quarterly perspective, the numbers would be a little subdued. Having said that, I think hotel industry is definitely one of those kind of beneficiary from a business standpoint. I'm not coming to the valuations yet, but from a business standpoint, to continue to see that momentum. However, as I mentioned, from a valuation standpoint, things look to be fairly valued in that sense. So we will wait for either further upgrades coming about or ARRs kind of improving from here onwards to be pretty constructive on this segment. But on an overall basis, it forms part of that consumer discretionary spend as well. So at the margin, we would be positive.
How much do you like cement now? You were looking at buying it on the dip earlier. Monsoon, so actually that's sometimes a good time to buy because the stocks get a little bit weakish, pricing as well as weakish. But the positive, I think, in the last 3 months or so is that some price increases have stuck after those price increases just falling through. What do you like? Any sector, specific stock, something you could name?
No, of course, see, I think sector on a per se, I think we've seen good amount of price increase in the last few months. As kind of things kind of problem in terms of monsoons kind of progress, we may see some amount of pressure on the pricing. And to be very honest, cement is a very seasonal sector in terms of price performance. Forget about the business performance, but from a price performance, it's a very seasonal. There's a huge amount of seasonality in their performances. So if you see from April to September or July or August, you will see cement companies on an overall basis do pretty well, and then subsequently kind of starts to taper off, for at least a quarter or so, right? In the hope that, once that, I would say the decrease in prices gets incorporated into the numbers incrementally gets changed. And it's a typical cycle every year it kind of follows. So while we talk about longer term perspective, that cement is a great, it's a sector on the increasing infrastructure, but it generally keeps on trading within a band. And if you are able to catch the lows and the highs of the band, it gives you a few opportunities during the year to trade.
In two-wheelers, Vaibhav, the clear leader over a longer term has been Eicher Motors with its premium offering. Hero MotoCorp has sort of lagged, when entry-level segment, there was stress there and consumer pricing pressure, etc. Do you have any positioning in two-wheelers?
See, from a two-wheeler perspective, and let me highlight our view rather than highlighting the position. From a view perspective, it forms part of that whole consumer discretionary basket, where because of the tax rebates, because of the overall decrease in terms of the interest rates, our view is that this segment is likely to see uptick in terms of the volumes. Also, when monsoons are pretty good, if you see the sowing area also has been pretty encouraging. My view is that from a two-wheeler perspective, which are on the cheaper motorbikes in terms of the products, I think they will start to incrementally do better from here onwards as compared to the premium motorcycles as well. So you may, probably want to focus on mass segment at this point in time, and that's where we do see an uptick. So it again forms part of our whole consumption basket as well.
But here the view is that the mass segment is likely to do better than the premium segment. Thank you very much, Vaibhav, for joining in. Great conversation and good to get your perspective in. It's time now for our segment D-Street.